So Brian, there's been a big surge of biplanes in today's market. Everyone has biplane fever, and there's a lot of different designs out there, and of course you have the Alfirma that'll be coming out shortly. And what can you offer to either the guy that already has the biplane that might be struggling, or a guy that's thinking about possibly getting into the biplanes?
As far as, what do you mean, what can I offer?
Like
advice on how to buy one?
Yeah.
Or?
Well, just what to look for.
Man, the field is wide open on bikes right now. You can't go wrong with a Naruki bike. The Alfirma bike, I get a lot of emails. When is it coming out?
Mm-hmm.
When is it going to be ready?
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the cornerstone of our business, I believe, of our designs, because it really is special. It's a special flying airplane. Everything that went into the Alfirma, and even the Allure, really, was learned on two airplanes that I designed. One was the Quest, and the other one was the Shark. Those airplanes really beat me up. They forced me to learn more about trimming than I ever thought I would. The Shark, when Oxy built it for me, they made 6 airplanes or 7 airplanes. The prototype that I built had some flaws, but it wasn't unflyable. I designed that airplane for Jason, and I never was satisfied with the outcome, and I just couldn't understand why it didn't fly. I understand why I couldn't fly it so well. And by that time I had a little more experience with it. Oxy put it into production. Basically, we made 6 or 7 of them. We got them 2 weeks before the World Championships. I crammed and got mine together, and Brett was going to take it to the world, and I talked him out of it because we didn't have any time on it. Mm-hmm. He had 2. We had just crashed a Euphoria. He had one Euphoria and one was being built. They had just rushed it over from Oxy. And when I got back, I started working on that airplane, and that airplane killed me. I just could not figure out what was wrong with it. It was a bunch of instability problems and just things that didn't jive with my trimming methods. And I looked at that thinking, maybe I'm wrong with my trimming methods. Maybe I'm looking at it the wrong way, or the approach is wrong, or maybe it has nothing to do with the biplane. If you go try to look at what's been done on biplanes before, there's nothing there. So the opportunity is wide open for advancement on biplanes, and I think that's really where the next generation of airplanes are going to wind up being. Mm-hmm. All the advancements are going to wind up being. So I never stopped working on that airplane. I had a bunch of different setups I tried, and a lot of them worked good, and eventually I pretty much told Oxy, look, I just can't see selling this airplane for $6,000. It's just not who I am. And Oxy was always so busy with new designs coming out, it just kind of went by the wayside. And I never pursued it any further than that, but I never forgot about that plane, and it beat me so bad that I wanted to learn basically why. And eventually I figured it out, and it was so simple. What I learned from that was so simple. It was like the nose on your face. It's what every modeler knows. But you wanted to believe the exotic. You wanted to believe the fantastic. You wanted to believe all the hocus pocus. And it was none of that. Not one bit of it. And once I figured that out, when Brett and I decided to do the Alfirma, I can tell you on the first flight I was so relieved that I really figured it out. And it's a funny story. When I got to the Nationals that year, of course nobody's seen the airplane, and I don't know who told who or what, but the first time I flew the Alfirma with the retracts, I couldn't take it off in the grass because it nosed over. The retracts through a bunch of different problems with the airplane, and between me and Mark and trying to run a specific type of retracts, I wound up putting them too far back in the wing. And so I get to the Nationals, and Chip's the first thing comes running up to me, hey man, how's the Alfredo doing? And did Did you install a nose gear in it yet? And I said, man, bad news travels fast when you design junk, don't it? But the airplane is really a giant leap forward in biplane designs. And the secrets and the magic behind that airplane are so simple, yet it's so foreign. It's so simple, it's right there obvious. And nobody's seen it. And I refuse to tell them. Because it's as soon as you tell somebody how to fix it, every designer runs out there and fixes their biplane, from Oxay to Seba to all these other guys. Not saying that their airplanes are bad or they're not fixed, but when you can fly an airplane, a biplane of that caliber, and it has literally, I think Brett has 2 mixes in that airplane. And it flies almost like a monoplane. It's very special, you know. And biplanes are very exotic. If you'd have told me 5 years ago that I was going to be able to build that airplane underweight, I'd have laughed at you.
Yeah.
You know, we exploded a wing. You know, I literally worked on that airplane literally non-stop for 3 years. Non-stop. 2 sets of wings, 2 sets of stabs. The wings were moved on the fuselage 2 or 3 times. The incidence was moved so many times I lost count. The CG was moved. We went from pull to servos and the stabs to pull again, to running the module, from not running the module, changing the thrust on the motor to, you know, it just was all over the map. And in the end, what I found out was I just needed to learn how to measure airplanes better. And through that process, I bought a laser, a self-leveling laser. Thought I had the answer to fixing biplanes, setting biplanes up. Well, the first problem that I learned with the Shark was because my laser was inaccurate, and I didn't even know it. But the whole time I was blaming it on my analog Robart meter, and it was dead on accurate. I went and bought a stair height gauge, got my granite tabletops, and I realized my laser was a 1/4 degree off at 78 inches, 1/8 of a degree off at 78 inches.
Wow.
And that blew my mind. And when I read the specs on the back of it, it said it's only accurate to so many degrees at, you know, 18 feet or something. And I'm thinking, how could I be so stupid? So in the meantime, I just learned how to measure airplanes. It just forced me to learn how to measure airplanes more accurately. And through that, it led me in the right direction on how to set an airplane up, especially a biplane up properly. Accurate measurement is the key to biplanes.
Do you think a lot of people are missing the boat on that, as far as current designs that are out there?
I don't know, it's hard to say because I visited the Extreme Factory. People that don't have any association or knowledge of how these factories operate, they're not modelers. They have 16, 18-year-old girls in the back assembling your competition airplane. You get this airplane home and you paid $6,000 for, and it's beautiful. It's got a beautiful paint job done by a 16-year-old girl or 18-year-old woman or, you know, a young man that's never seen an airplane in their life. They were taught how to paint that airplane. Mm-hmm. It's really amazing what the manufacturers can do with people right off the street that have no modeling skills whatsoever. So you get your airplane up, especially a biplane, you get it and you put it together and you put your motor in, you go out and fly it. It got a mix, you trim it out, you go in, you mix it out with the radio, you don't think nothing of it. Mm-hmm. But that same 18-year-old girl set the incidence on your wings. Now it's hard for the average modeler to set the incidence on his wings. Imagine somebody with absolutely no experience that rides a moped to work every morning, putting your airplane together you just paid $6,000 for. So it was really, even though I knew this, it was eye-opening to me to walk into the factory and look and see how they get these beautiful airplanes done the way they do it. And it just reinforced me. When I went to our factory in Extreme, I was able to teach them how to accurately measure an airplane. I gave them the tools. I brought my tools and they wouldn't let me leave with them. I gave them to them and I sent them more knowing that it would help, my airplanes. And I sat down and I spent 2 days with the guy that's over the production of my airplane, and taught him how to measure my airplane, how to check it, how to measure the airplane, the wings and the stabs, how they come out of the mold. And even the owner of the factory was just stunned. Not only that, but I took another design that he was making and put it on the table and showed him where that one was crooked. And then another one, I showed him where that one was crooked. They had no idea. They just manufacture airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
So you as a model get your airplane, and when it's a biplane, it's double the trouble, maybe triple the trouble. So even though you're paying $6,000 for an airplane from a factory overseas, and it's beautiful as hell, you put it up on the bench. When you start measuring biplanes, 1/10 of a degree is a big deal. And I know dang good and well they can't measure 1/10 of a degree.
Yeah.
So it's just something you need to think about. And that's part of the key to designing and trimming a biplane, is accurately knowing how to measure it. Where's a datum line? What do you use as a standard?
Mm-hmm.
What do you go off? What's the important thing? What trumps what when you're measuring something? Those are all the secrets of setting a biplane up. You can get away with a whole lot more with a monoplane. You can't get away with it with a biplane. And that influences designs. When you find a flaw, you refine that flaw. But if you can't never find the flaw, you can't ever refine it. So right now I have a little edge there, and I'm going to hang on to it for a little. As soon as I let it go, it'll get lost as to where it comes from, So we'll see. I mean, my goal, and I talk with Brett about this a lot, my goal is to eventually release a trimming guide on biplanes. I'm going to do some videos for the website on how to measure your CG, how to measure your wings, how to check your wings and your stabilizer for warps, why it matters, and do demonstrations on how to do it. Basically show you the tools to go and buy, the stuff that I've learned in the last 5 years really working with the biplanes. It'll be really informative and eye-opening, and anybody can do it. It's easy. It's just the knowledge of where do you start, what trumps what's the most important setting, how do you accurately measure CG. Nobody knows how to accurately measure CG.
Mm-hmm.
Without a standard, there's no duplication. So I'm going to try to teach standards and duplications and why it matters, and how to check your CG, where to put your CG, stuff like that. And eventually my arm may be twisted, and I'll give a little more information about the biplane. But I said after the Worlds I would give it out, but I think I'm going to hold on to it for a little while longer.